What do you believe? Why do you believe it? Is it an opinion? Is it truth? Is it fact? And how do you know? And I think the ultimate outcome is simply, does it work? So if you eat a certain way, you exercise a certain way, you live your life a certain way, and the 4 things that I talk about every single day, which is you are healthy, fit and strong, you have a career or business that you love, you're financially free or on track to being financially free, and you only have respectful, beautiful people in your life, so you've got great relationships, then whatever you're doing is working. So there will be people who disagree with what you're doing, yes? There'll be people who say you shouldn't eat that way, you shouldn't exercise that way, that's not how to run a business, that's not how to look after your money, that's not the kind of people you should have in your life. But if it's working for you, if you wake up every day as a happy person and you are healthy, fit and strong and you do what you love every day for a business, for a career to earn money, if the amount of money that you're earning is giving you the lifestyle that you want, and if the people in your life are adding value to your life, then surely everything's working for you. The sad thing about those things I've just shared is how many people do you know that are in that situation? Or are there more people who are unhealthy, out of shape, overweight, unfit and weak? Lots of people have a lousy, stinking, rotten job, or they don't like the business or career that they're doing. They're broke or struggling for money, and they have horrible people in their life, or their whole life is that. So what do you do if you believe a certain thing? If you believe this is the way to eat or exercise, but you're not healthy, fit and strong. If you believe that you can't have a career or business that you love and you're stuck in a lousy, stinking, rotten job and you hate your job, surely you'd want something different for your life. If you believe that this is the best way to look after your money, but you're broke and struggling for money, surely you need to do something different. And if you really want to be loved and respected and have great people in your life, but the people in your life aren't loving and respecting you, surely you need to do something different. So who do you believe when it comes to advice for those things? And this is where it becomes really interesting, because if you go looking for advice on all of that, you'll find it, yeah? Ask AI, ask Google, read a book, watch a podcast, listen to some social media expert on any of those topics, and you'll get plenty of information. The challenge is, of course, that is it possible that information will be contradicting? So one podcaster will say this and another one will say that. You should eat this way, and another one says if you eat that way, you'll die. So how do you know what's going to work for you? And this is where critical thinking for yourself, research, analysation, which is a word that doesn't exist but I really like, knowing for yourself rather than believing other people's opinion, I think is the ultimate way to live. So how do you do that? And of course, to be a critical thinker, you need to have a healthy brain. To have a healthy brain, you need to have a healthy body. So could it all start with the things, the fundamentals, rather than go to a podcaster or a social media influencer and what kind of supplementation should I take, or should I have an ice bath, or should I be intermittent fasting? Could it be a really good idea to work that out for yourself? How does the human body work? How does successful business work? Now, behind me is a library full of books about successful businesses. I don't read books about businesses that have failed. I want to have a look at this business started from scratch with an idea, with an invention or a creation, and now it's a multi-million or billion-dollar business. What did those people do to do that? So you study and analyse for yourself rather than just listening to somebody's opinion. And I use that as a classic example because I was originally conned. There's a lot of business books and they look good and they're marketed well and they've got pretty pictures on them on the outside. But when you get into the nitty-gritty of that book, most of it's BS. And a lot of my business mistakes have come from believing other people's ideas and opinions about business, but they were silliness. And I didn't know they were silliness because I didn't critically think it. So would it be a really good idea, and that's just a simple process for those, and I talk about this every day, healthy, fit and strong, career or business that you love, financial freedom and great people in your life, should we research and study and analyse that for ourselves? Now the really interesting side note to all of that is somebody could believe that it's true, somebody could believe it could happen, somebody believe that pill, powder or potion could work, and it does. It doesn't make any sense, it's not logical, it's not backed up by science, but it still works. And that's the amazing thing called the placebo effect. So I'll use this as an example in business. I've been told many times you can't do that, it won't work, you'll never make enough money, and when you run the numbers on that particular product or service, you're never going to make the money that you want to make. But what we underestimate is the power of the human brain. We underestimate the power of discipline, focus, and commitment. And we underestimate the power of what humans, if you want to make it happen, you can. And that's why I think it's really silly to believe other people's ideas. I'm never going to tell somebody, don't take that pill, powder, or potion. Don't try that business. Don't go and, you can't be a painter, or you can't be a dancer. You're not smart enough to be a doctor. I don't believe any of that anymore, because too many people have proved all of us wrong. Too many people have taken something that everybody believed wasn't true, would never work, would never happen, and they've made it happen anyway. So telling people what to do based on your opinion, you believing other things based on other people's opinion, why would we do such a thing? So the fundamental of all of that is very simple. Think for yourself, be a critical thinker, which is one of the things I'm very scared about in the world right now, because so many people are being told what to think and they actually believe it. We're an education facility where we do it a little bit differently. I never tell people what to think. I would love you to learn how to think for yourself. So when somebody says to me, does this diet work or does this exercise program work? I always say, well, let's analyse it. Based on how the human body works, based on anatomy and physiology, would that work? Would that eating plan work? Would that exercise program work? But there are a lot of people who are in great shape, they look amazing, they've got a stack of energy, but they don't follow any of the rules. And I'll use this as an example because this is the perplexing one. There's a lot of people who have smoked all of their life, they've drunk alcohol all of their life, they have never exercised, they eat food that people would say is bad food, and they're 70, 80, 90 years of age, and they're very happy people. Now, I've got a theory for that. I think that if you don't stress about smoking and drinking and eating food, and if you don't feel guilty if you smoke, drink, and eat yummy food, because I think that stress and guilt have a horrible effect on the human body. So I think if you enjoy your life, you're more likely to live longer because you've got powerful, happy chemicals going through your brain. But that's just my opinion. I would never say to somebody, don't smoke, don't drink, don't take drugs, don't eat crappy food. That's none of my business. I would hope that as humans, we allow other people to live their lives the way they want to live. We don't listen to other people's opinions just because they tell us what to do. It's called being you. Think for yourself, analyze everything. And my father taught me this, and I'm so privileged that he did. Always ask why and how. Don't tell people why they should do something and how they should do it, but always ask for yourself. Why would I do that? How's that going to work for me? Is it going to fit into my lifestyle? Does it make sense? Is it common sense? I always ask that about exercises. A lot of exercises that you look at, if they were in a workplace or in a warehouse or in a factory and people did that movement, the people giving them that movement would get sued because it's not logical, it doesn't make common sense, it looks like it's going to hurt your body. But you go to a gym or a personal training studio, you see that same movement pattern and people are doing it and saying, oh, it's really good for your body. Well, see, that doesn't make common sense. So why not think about it for yourself? Rather than believe the guru that says this is a great exercise, think to yourself, does that look good? Does that look like it's going to be healthy for my knee or my back or my shoulder? And you are an intelligent human being. We're all given a brain. Sadly, there's a lot of brains that have been affected by other people's opinions, being told what to think, being brainwashed by what everybody else is doing. Rather than follow the crowd, why not just be you? Think for yourself, analyze it for yourself, study for yourself, believe nothing. And that's another great piece of advice I was given by a very successful business person. And I use the success in a very specific terminology. For me, success is somebody that's healthy, fit and strong, somebody that is doing what they love to make money, and they only have great people in their life. And that person shared with me, Rowie, if it doesn't make sense, it's nonsense. Think for yourself, analyze everything for yourself, believe nothing. Everything is BS until you've proved to yourself that it's not. So I've had lots of opinions in my life and lots of people have given me their opinion. But as an old lady, it's a really special place to be. I think for myself. I don't ever believe anything. Definitely not the news, definitely not social media, definitely not by what I read in a book, and definitely not by governments or doctors, and I use doctors with great respect. But I've seen cardiologists argue with each other almost to the point of fighting each other because they disagree with their opinion. Two people with the same qualifications, the same medical degrees, the same specialised medical degrees, and they're arguing about something, which means everybody's got a different opinion, regardless of what the science says, what the government says, what the research says. Everybody's got their right to have their opinion. You have, everybody else has. So I'm not interested in other people's opinions. They can do whatever they want to. And I always share this as a very fun thing. I'm never going to run for politics, but if I did, this would be my slogan. I will leave you the hell alone. I don't want anybody to tell me what to do, so I'm certainly not going to tell anybody else what to do. I have the right to my opinion, but so does everybody else, and everybody else's opinion doesn't have to be the same as mine. Isn't that just a fun place to live? And wouldn't the world be boring if we all believed the same thing and all did the same thing? So if you want to live your life to the max, think for yourself, study for yourself, analyze everything, believe nothing until you know that it's true for you and it works for you. And if it works for you, and I'm going to share again, if you're healthy, fit and strong, if you've got a career or business that you love, which is keeping you financially free and secure, and you've only got great people in your life, then surely that's the ultimate measurement for living your life to the max. Super duper doo, how are you? Living my life to the max, yeah.